All right, so this is how things look in the dashboard. I can see, as you can see, it's pretty fine, right? So aside from the authentication thing, we're going to try to hook up this chart to Firebase. There's already an array. Constant scale. Yeah, there is already this array that this data is what shows up on the chart. So we're going to try to put this data in Firebase manually. Sadly, wait, must it be manually? It actually must not be manually. So we're going to run a code to put it on there without having to stress ourselves. And then we stop that code and try to read it from Firebase to put display on the app. So without further ado, let's get started. So Firebase, as you can see, .google.com. So it's still your Google account you're going to use to log in. So if you're logged in, you can go to console. All right, so in console, you create a project. So let's start with our project name. Okay, well, we're going to use the same projects in all three places. So let me just call this MasterClass. Now, for us to hook up this MasterClass to, let's call this MasterClass 1. Yeah, if you look down here, you notice that at some point, this was a bit different from what I had here. So I think they would like some kind of very unique name with alphabets and some numbers, you know, something that likely someone else would never pick. And if you don't have that, they would add a little identifier, just something to make yours unique. So, or if you put something really unique, okay, it's 94, right? So that's then 94. So let's put 94. So I accept Firebase terms and this, even though we never read terms and conditions, we always accept. This doesn't really matter, sure, except you need it per se, then you need it. But if not, you can turn it off, leave it on, no problem. So step 3 is location. Generally, that's nice. Nigeria showed up. Okay, this was for Google Analytics. So it takes a little while to create this, maybe a minute or two. Anyway, before I go on, are you guys hearing me clearly?
You are very
Yes,
audible.
Very audible. All right.
Yes, we are.
That's great. That's great. All right, our project is ready. So, so now that we're here, you see, get started by adding Firebase to your app. And this is iOS, this is Android, this is web. There are other things here, but anyway, this is the one we want, web. So, in a project, so register your app, you give it a nickname. I think we're just going to be using the same app everywhere, so I'll still call it once again MasterClass. This time there's no need for such strict uniqueness. So just MasterClass. I don't need Firebase hosting for this app, so I wouldn't click it. Ah, that's true, Firebase hosting. That will be for another day, sure. Register app. So we have two options: use a script tag, with scripts, blah blah blah, or use npm. I haven't used the script tag. Mostly I've been using Firebase in React project. So I'm already using npm. Why go ahead with this? So we're going to use npm. Maybe two of our projects. I told you I borrowed 3 projects. This one is a Next.js project, so that's React. The other 2 are vanilla JS projects. Maybe in one of them, we can try to use the script tag, and in the other, we use npm. That way, we get a feel of the whole thing. So, for using npm, you run this. You install Firebase in the project, and then you copy this. Now, you see these: API key, auth domain, project ID. All of these are confidential data that should never see the light of day. Like, this stuff should not go to your what's it called, to GitHub. Nobody's supposed to see this. Frankly, as you're seeing this, is a problem. So after this class, I'm going to delete this project because this API key has been compromised. Okay, that's how serious the API key thing is. So I'll copy this. All right, so if we check package.json in this dashboard app, we see that there is already Firebase. So there is no need to npm install Firebase anymore. We can just move ahead. So in SRC here, I'm going to create a folder called Firebase. It's not like this is necessary per se. It's good to keep the Firebase code on one side. So in here, I'll create Firebase.js. It's a JS project, right? So CS. Can still roll with JS. So I paste this. Sorry, let me run npm install again. I don't know. Oh, I forgot. This thing is small. Is this big enough?
Yes.
All right. I feel like this is just a warning line to not really stop us. You know what? Let me delete this and node modules and install again.
Eddie, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I am. You can see it.
No, I don't know if it's just me.
I can see
Hopefully,
I can see the screen.
Okay,
hopefully it's just you. Okay, it's still deleting. So generally, if you have issues with your installed packages, you delete node modules and package lock.json, not the package.json itself. If you delete that, you are killing yourself. Package lock and node modules folder, and try to run npm install again. I think things didn't install properly before. Okay, in any case, we've got this. In a more serious world, a more serious project, this place wouldn't really have these these values directly. We'll create a .env file and throw these in there and import them from there. But I mean, you've already seen the stuff, so there's no need hiding it anymore. So we're just going to use it like this. All right, it's done. I don't know if it's network playing a joke on me or what, but this shouldn't be taking. Okay. While I'm waiting for this to load, I'll just be pulling up the what's it called, authentication functions for Firebase. So Firebase gives you a bunch of interesting functions like create user with email and passwords. Um, I think there's sign in user with email and passwords. Just very interesting names like that. Wow, this was still not finished running. Anyway, in the meantime, since we're going to be using auth, we're not seeing the, what's it called, the suggestions, because this has not finished installing. But let's see, get import Firebase/auth. I think it's my network that is causing all this. I'm not sure why. Okay. Well, in any case, let's have um, another this thing. Maybe we'll call it Firebase functions. I'll start with register. So export cons, register user, or else login user, right? Spots. Okay. So we'll just roll with these two for now. And this installation is really troubling me. Okay, I'm trying to look for the, what's it called? The inputs that are in the register and the login form. At least let some things be happening while this is still installing. Okay, we have email, passwords, confirm password. So this is the register. Really just this. Okay. Well, the work was done in TypeScript, so I'm also writing the functions in TypeScript so that, I don't know, it will just flow well together like that. So email is string. Remember your data types. The other thing was password. We can ignore confirm password. So string as well. Same thing here. Email and password again. I know the field says email or phone, but let's just use email. Let's assume it's just going to be email. Sorry, let me try and switch network and see something. Now I'm wondering if it's a good idea to even stop this one and start it again. Okay, it just changed. All right. Let me try restarting, running the app. Okay. At least it didn't give these errors again. Last time it gave this error. What's popping today? Okay, so the page we're actually interested in is this page, login page. For now, anyway. Oh. Okay, so get started is register. All right, so email, password, confirm password, and that's great. We'll move on like that. Okay, now that we've done all this, sorry, I forgot something we were supposed to continue. Now that we've added those details to our app, there are still just a few things we have to do. So over here, you can see in this build tab, or you can see a few of the modules that Firebase offers. There's authentication, storage. This is for files like pictures, videos like that. Then Firestore database is the normal database we use. So anyhow, these two are what we're going to work with. So authentication, you actually have to, we say get it started. So get started. Sign in method. Here is users. You'd see what users you have in your app. So currently this is not there because we don't have a sign-in method set up yet. So sign-in method, there are a few. It's email and password, phone, anonymous, blah, blah, blah. And then these are the nice additional providers ones. So we'll do email, passwords. You just enable. This is not necessary. So save. and this has been added. So let's add this as well too. So it's just enable and then support email. Then you add this and save. Right, so that's done. So now you can add users. You can also add manually as well, but just for email and password user. So anyway, back to our Firebase functions. So in register user, it's going to take in email and password, right? Now it will make a request. We are going to make a request. Let's see. Let's say const. Do we call it? I like to use response. Let's call it response. Const response. Sorry. Yeah. This should have been exported. Export const get auth app. So first of all, you initialize the app with the Firebase config, and then you can begin to create or rather get modules from the app with their specific functions, and then you pass in app. So they'll just use they'll link up with the same Firebase project. So I'll import auth from, I was hoping to see it. Okay, let's go this way too. So since this is next, you can use this Firebase and Firebase. Off. Sorry, create user. Okay, create user with email and password. If you hover on it, we see it's requesting three things: auth, email, and password. And it returns a promise. So that means this function is going to be asynchronous. So I like to use the async await way to handle promises. So first the auth objects, then email and password. So let's make this asynchronous. Async await. So for now, let me just console log this response. So now we have this function. We need to use it in the register page. Okay, so the register page is called sign up. That's where I was actually. Sign up. And all these red lines just make me feel very, very uneasy. I don't like these red lines. See, weird things are happening. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? Okay. Okay, we don't have an on submit. Okay, there's handle submit. Okay, so currently, what the handle submit function just says that if there is email and there is password and the second password, then just move the person to dashboard, right? There's no real signing up happening here. So for now, let's comment this out and say instead that let's say if password 1 is exactly equal to password 2, so that's what's that thing called? The password and the confirmed password. Okay. So since, sorry, let's import this. This function was called register user from Firebase functions. So import from Firebase functions. Register user. And if you remember, register user returns a promise. So it'd be nice to make this asynchronous. So if password 1 is equal to password 2, we can say const res is equal to await register user, and it needs email and password, so we pass in email and password 1. Okay, but if it doesn't, if password 1 doesn't match password 2, let's just borrow this line. And move this up. So the error would be passwords do not match. See? So let's have this codeview@gmail.com. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ABC. Oh, let's remove this. Okay, we get passwords do not match. If I add the C, okay, there is no loading animation, no signing in, or something like that. But if we look over here, we can see something was logged. If you remember, in the Firebase functions, we console log response, right? So this is the response. It returns this weird object, all right, that says the operation was sign in. The operation type was sign in. Provider ID, null, because it's email and password. If it was something like Google or Apple, you would have seen something like that here. Okay, so it returns the user. It creates a user object. But the thing now is that this user object is just for authentication. If you wanted to add, interesting things like, I don't know, hobbies or interest or other things about your user, you would not be able to add them here. You would have to, how do we put it? You would have to use Firestore to do that. Anyway, let's even see. So now we should see one user. Yeah, we see one user, code view, created on this day. Anyway, that's that. So how about this flow? Somebody registers, right? And then they get sent to the login page for them to log in. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's try that. For those of us that are not very familiar with React, I'm sorry, just bear with me for this one. For the next two projects, there will be vanilla JS projects, so things will make more sense. But all the same, these functions will still remain. The only thing that is different, something like this is still going to remain the same. The only thing that is different is the way we are using it for the form, like in the form submit function. All these set error and router.push, you wouldn't see these in vanilla JS. But at the end of the day, you are still going to get a response if you run this. So it's up to you to work with it the way you would work with it, depending on what framework or whatever you're using. All right. So looking here, we get a bunch of things, but what really I feel is important to us is this UID. Okay, because this, as you know, is the ID of this user. It's kind of like user ID or unique ID. Anyone you want to think about it as. So we can use this unique ID now to enter this Firestore database and create an object for that user. Unfortunately, we don't have name and something like that, and I don't want to waste time. So okay, Firestore database. I think we also have to initialize this from here. We can't just start using it over there. Create a database. So you can set the ID, they set that for you. Location, generally for this kind of things, you want to pick a location that is closest to where you are. If you see anything, yeah, London, I think London is closer than the US. What do you guys think? London and all these places in the US. Let's say London and East US, because East US is closer to Nigeria than West. So London and East US, which is closer?
London.
Nope. London, right? I also think so. So I tend to go with London, this place. So they tell you that after you set this, you can't change it. So start in production. There's no need to start in test really. Just start in production. So this is data where you would see your data. Now, Firestore is a very interesting place. There are collections. This first place now is collection. Let's say we create a collection and call this let's call this dev data, like dev database, something like that. Now, for you to create a collection, you generally have to put one document inside. So let's call this document ID random. Or actually, we'll call this main. No need for something in there. Yeah. So it keeps going. Collection, document, collection, document, collection. This is a collection, dev data. We added a document in its main. Inside main, we can add a document. We can add a collection. Now, a document has fields inside, like say, for if this were a user now, it would be like name, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, phone number, like that, like that, like that. But at the same time, you can also add a collection inside a document. Things get a little crazy like that, but that's just how Firebase rolls. So let's say inside this document called main, we start a collection called users. Okay, you know what? We wouldn't start it. We'll let the code start it for us because I don't want to put something random. So what we're going to do now is we're going to delete this guy that was just created. We delete it, and then we'll adjust our register function that when somebody registers, that user ID, that UID that is there, take it and use it to create a new entry inside a collection in main, right? We're going to call this collection users, and then inside it we'll just have document. Okay, that makes sense. And after that, take us to the login page. So back to this function. So we get this response. And now that we've seen what the response looks like, I think we can call this by a better name. What do you think, looking at that object that was there, what do you think we should call this thing? Oh, wrong place. Looking at this object, and you know you've seen what's inside the object. What do you think we should call this object? I don't want to call it response per se. Can you think of a good name for this object?
User object.
All right, user object is fine. You know, they say about half of what you do as a developer is to name things. Naming is quite everything. Or we can say user object. Yeah, don't worry, user object. So now the UID was in somewhere. Okay, let's look at this object again. What useful data can we get? Because there was actually a bit of data in here. Display name is null. Email, we have email. Phone number, photo. So we're just going to take this display name, email, phone number, photo URL. Okay, any of them that is null, we'll set it to empty string in the user objects, like the real user object that will be stored on the database. So inside user obj, user obj, user obj.user is where we see all this stuff. So the display name, email, phone number, photo URL, and UID. Those are the things that we need. It's actually, I think it's better to leave this as response, so that we'll call the object will create user objects. Sorry about that. Response dot user. Okay. So user objects. Or do we just call this name? I think name is better. So name will be user dot display name. All right. Email will be user dot email. Phone user dot phone number. Photo user dot photo URL, right? Photo URL. And user ID is user dot UID. So now remember that some of these things were empty. So let's just say for this phone number, photo URL, these are the ones that were empty. Oh, sorry. That's troublesome. So, okay, what can I do now that if this thing is empty, that's if it's null, it will rather return, would rather put empty string.
We can use ternary operator, I guess.
Ternary, okay, how would that go?
Okay, for example, that would be like user.display name, then the question mark. That means we're saying that if user.display name is not null, then you should put user.display name, else it should just be like an empty string.
Okay. I get what you're saying. So let me do it this way.
Well, there's some foreign realities. I, engineer senior activist Olo.
So I copy, and then we have the question mark, we have this, and we have this, right? This is what you were saying.
Yes.
Okay. So this works, but it's a little longer. So for one of them, I'll change it to something else. We can use the pipe.
Just put the or operator. the
Yeah,
type.
exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry, I didn't see your hand up. So I'll leave these ones like this. At the end of the day, they will return the same thing, right? But this is shorter. So now we have this user object. So the next thing we want to do is to what's the word? Hook up to our database and insert this object somewhere. So we'll have you target. You can target documents and collections in Firebase with their refs. So first of all, before you try to get access to a document or collection, you have to get the ref first. And you can get the ref if you know the path to the collection. So const user ref or user doc ref is equal to, since it's a document we're looking for, it will be doc. You use the doc function. And you can see it takes in Firestore. Right. Just like we created this auth with get auth, right? We need to create the Firestore module, something like that, over in this place. So we get that, then you put the path that leads to your document. So let's start with this. Export const. So basically the Firestore is just like a database. So I'm going to call this DB. I think it's get Firestore. Yes, it is get Firestore. App. So this is strange. Despite all the reds, it's still working. It's probably, anyhow, I'll look at it later. Firestore Lite. Are you sure it's Lite? Sorry, let me just check. I don't think it was Lite that I used to know these things to come from. These people always be writing weird things. Okay. So yeah, there was no lights. Or there is no lights. Right, so it's just get Firestore from Firebase /Firestore. I'll knock off these lights. And no crying, so you know we're correct. I think if we adjust this, we should see some no crying still. Anyway, Firebase Firestore, no problem. Let's go like that. So auth and what was that one? DB, right? DB. So in doc, we are first of all passing DB and then a path. So now the path is dev data /main/ this collection, we want to call it users. Right. So dev data /main/ users. Now, if you notice, it gave this, right? The path can be a string. You can have, multiple strings. To just join them together later. So we can now join this UID to it, because last this is a document, right? This dev main users is a collection. It's it's kind of easy to check this out in Firebase. If your strings, the sections in your string is even, then it's a document. If it's odd, it's a collection. So this is 3. We're going to add one more. Sections are things separated, the parts separated by these forward slashes. So user.uid. Now we have 4 sections. So this is a document. So if you tried to use the function for collection, which is collection, it will last throw an error that this thing is not odd. So it's not a collection. All right. So now that we have this ref, we are not really trying to get the data in this place. We just need the ref to use for something else. So we're going to say await set doc. It's a function. Why am I getting this light thing? Yeah, await setDoc. setDoc takes a reference, a document reference, and then some data. So we already have the reference user docref, and then we're going to throw in user objects. So that's that. So we've created the user and a small user object, a default user object for the user, and we've thrown that into somewhere in the database. So the next thing is to return true. Do we still console log this response? That's for you guys. Do we still need to see anything in this response?
No.
No, right? All right. So we return true. Now, ideally, since this is an asynchronous function and blah, 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 it would be best to do this in a try and catch. For my intermediates in the house, we did error handling recently, right? So anytime you are doing something that is making a request to somewhere or something like that, you know that there can be errors. So it's safest to just use a try and catch and handle that. So we're going to bundle all of this and take it down to our try. So if all this works well, we return true. And if something fails here, let's just try and see what the error is. So console.error, and we return false. Okay, so that means this function, register user, when called, will return either true or false. And that's fine. That's what we need to know here. So that means here, res is going to be Boolean, true or false. So we say that if it is true, then take us to the login page. Let me see. That login page now, is it a separate page? Right? If I say login, oh, okay, the default, okay, I get it. What we call the home page is the default, is the login page. So okay, let's take it up. This is how we're going to move to another page. So router.push, and we'll just go here. Sorry, I didn't. So if res is true, this bracket in the if checks for truthiness or falsiness. So it's a bit redundant to say if res is true, because just saying if res kind of checks that it's true or false. So if res, then take us to the login page. Else, what do we say? I guess we throw an error, some kind of error. Let's say registration failed, please try again. Now, I'm not sure how we're going to make it fail. Maybe by scattering this function a bit somehow that will make it fail, but I don't know. I don't want to do that. There's no time to do that. So let's just go with the success way. So I'm going to delete this user we created. Yeah.
What if
Say
we
something.
network tab and turn off your
What if we
go to your network tab in your developer?
okay and turn that off? I mean, yeah, we can do that, but I don't know. Let's just go with the success way. All right. So authentication, and we delete this user. Okay, so while we're here, let's just write the function for login user as well. So it's going to be something similar to this. So we can have the try and catch immediately as well. In case you're wondering why I'm writing it in these brackets, somebody's knocking, I'm coming. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Yeah, so the reason why we have it in these brackets is so that it will be easier to tell what the console log you are seeing is. So this basically is something like this. An object with error as the property and this as the value. Okay, so in the console you will see error and the object. So you can easily tell that this is the error. So as for try, let's have const response is equal to sign in with email and password. Their names, you can see why it's good to have good names. Yeah, the names are very explanatory. Yeah. So once again, it takes in auth, email, and password. And it returns user credential. I think that's the same thing this one returned as well. Yeah, returns user credential. So we know we're going to get something like this. Yeah, so at this point, okay, let's try something then. Let's also have this line. Yeah. So what we're going to do now is that we're just going to fetch the data for this user, because normally when you log in somebody, you go fetch their data from the database and probably store in local storage or store in your global state, that kind of thing. We're not going to do that, but we're just going to get the data and display it on the console so that we can see that. So const user docref, I think it's the same thing that happened up here. Okay, so now we're going to get doc. So user doc would be equal to, well, it's get doc again with the lights. I don't like this light thing that keeps showing up.
It may, it may be the new version of Firebase. Like, like.
Yeah, but I don't like light. Light always, gives that impression of a smaller stuff. I don't know why it keeps showing up in the, like, this main one will not show. It's that one that will show. I don't like that. Anyway,
Okay.
let's see. So get doc takes just the ref. User doc ref. Now, this is a promise, so we need to await it. Now, of course, there is always the possibility that this ref you wrote doesn't actually lead to a document. Okay, so before we can start trying to, read this stuff, we need to first check if user doc dot exists. Yeah, these are the things you can get from it. You can get data, like the entire data inside it, or check whether it exists, or get a field inside that data, because it's a document. It has fields inside, so you can get a particular field if you want. You can get the ID, stuff like that. But for now, exists. So if it exists, then
Push to dashboard.
let me see. Okay, if it exists, let's data. Let's user data be equal to user doc dot data. It's a function, you call it. So it's just going to return the object that was stored. So we console log user data. And return true. So once again, login user is just going to be a true or false return. Here as well, return false. Okay, so does this flow make sense? You sign in with email and passwords. If it's successful, you get this user credential. From there, you get the user ID that you use to check Firestore for that particular user's document. If the document exists, you get their data, console log it, return true. If that whole thing doesn't work, return false. So this place has already been set up. Let's go set up page. So import from this Firebase functions, and we want to import login user, okay? So here we're going to use login user. If email and password, we won't just push immediately. All right, this has to be asynchronous. See, let's res be equal to await login user, and we pass in email and password. So what do we do next? If you can remember what we did in the register place, what do we do next after getting this? Because this is a Boolean. This is true or false. So if this thing returns true, what should we do?
We push to dashboard.
We push to dashboard. Okay, so we have a conditional. So if res, just like before, push to dashboard. What if it's false?
We send a message. Error message.
People are taking light again. Login fields, please try again. Okay, so I believe we're all set. What's going on? It's not moving. Okay, so we're here now. So let me hide this. Oh, this doesn't hide. Okay, it doesn't really hide. Clear this. So once again, kogi@gmail.com. Can somebody give me a password? Password, anybody? There are enough people here to give me password.
Code GU1234.
Okay, so I'm using all lower. Missing or insufficient permission. That is very strange. There usually is no permission for register.
I'm thinking it's from when we were setting up the account.
When we were setting up the account.
Yes, there was one part that they specified permission or something like that under Firebase.
Authentication is usually the place that will give you permission, that will give you authorization.
Yeah,
There
I'm talking
shouldn't
about that, the settings.
Here,
No, authentication settings.
these settings?
Hmm.
Not really. The only thing I do here is authorize domains and user account linking. So what this means is that, say you create a user with email and password, but you also have Google login. So if you select these link accounts that use the same email, then like this code GUI now that I'm trying to create with email and password. If it's created and I come to try to log in with my code GUI Gmail, like I set up that Gmail button and it's working and I click that, it would log me into the same account that was created with code GUI email and password. So if I fix this, then there will be different things. This one is for you want to limit number of sign-ups per hour. Sorry, not okay. Yeah, it's sign up, not sign in. Sign up, yes. Number of sign-ups per hour, something like that. Authorized domains are the places that will be authorized, the domains that will be authorized to access this authentication app. So for now, localhost, or this would have been the, if we used Firebase hosting, this is what the domain would look like. Yeah, but we're not using Firebase hosting. So anyhow, if we did host this, deploy this app to say Vessel, for example, we'll get a Vessel domain, masterclass 94 at .vessel.app. You come over here and add that here. If you don't add it here, it will fail you. Yeah. So that's why I don't get why that's happening, because this is for authentication, this is the only thing that should matter. The fact that the domain is localhost. And it was localhost, so I shouldn't have been having that issue. So email already in use. I thought this was deleted. I wish this thing told time. I would really like to know what time this thing is, because I deleted this thing. '26. Okay, 26 is this. Okay. So it's because of this that we're having that issue. The issue was not coming from authentication, it was coming from Firestore. So let's go look at Firestore. Firestore has some rules that kind of determine how somebody can get access to this. But that's crazy because this rule, allow read write if false, is supposed to allow anybody at all to be able to read or write to this database. I think if we did this, if auth is not equal to null, okay, 1 equal to, sorry, let me just confirm from somewhere. Yeah, there was no authentication in this project. You can see there's just Firestore database. So let's see the rules. Okay, this is just allow read writes. Fine, so we're going to use that then. So publish. Alright, so your security rules are defined as public. So anyone can still modify or delete them in your database. No problem, this is just a test kind of thing. So you can remember, anyway, let's go look at something that has authentication. So, okay, we even need to add these. I don't think we'll be doing updating. But anyhow, we're going to add this to the other place. Read, write, read, create, update, write, if request.auth is not equal to null. So this is how it will be if you, if you have authentication and you want it such that only people who are logged into your app can access this database, then this part is necessary. If request.auth is not equal to null. Well, let's go add the others. Read, create, update, write. And we publish again. All right. Yeah, so I just remembered. Remember, it's the Firestore part that failed, so the actual creation worked. So we need to delete this account once more. So view 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we definitely needed a sign loading something here. Let's save this. Okay, so for now, it brought us to this login page. So that means everything worked. We reload, we should see code view, and if we check the database, there's dev data, there's main, there is users, and there's this ID. So we have this, the user ID and the email. So that went well, right? So let's try logging in. First with the wrong password. Right, login failed. Oh, I see. You get why this error is happening? Firebase functions 48. Okay, 48 is just this. Anyway, the error happened because we tried this signing with email and password, but we put a wrong password, which means this this didn't give the response we were expecting. Okay, and we went ahead to still try and access the database, but we're not signed in at that point. Like something was wrong at that point. Okay, so this failed on account of that. So I guess you would have to employ some kind of check, you know, like if the response is actually, you know, positive, like it has the user, then all of this can continue to happen. So if I add this for, yeah, we see this user data, and it pulled up that exact thing we saw in the database. So that is login and sign up with Firebase. Now they have other functions too. They have a function to send verification email. So if you want to get users verified, and there are some things you would follow over there. I'm not going to get into that, but let me just try and explain that flow. If we come over here, you'd see templates. So email address verification. And you see this link. So you can edit this link. Because, yeah. Let's say it's localhost. So localhost 3000. And you will need a page, because they are going to send this link to that email address, right? And the person is going to click this link. It will take them to a page in your app that should do something. Okay? Anyway, I called that page, or you can call that page email return. Inside this link that they are going to send, there will be two things, or a few things. There will be something called OOB code, and then type of mail. Like, is this thing, or type of action? I think it's action that is called. OOB code action. Right. So you would be checking let me just add a few things here. Verify response is equal to await what's let me try and get the function names at least, so they'll just show up in this video. Send verification email with Firebase. Okay, you use it when you have a user. So you can use that Firebase auth.current user to get a user and then send email verification. And after that, that's interesting. They didn't drop the, there's another function for verifying the email. In any case, let's look at this. User dot, sorry. Auth.current user. So on that user, send verification email. Send email verification. Or I think maybe you need to re-authenticate the user. I know some of these functions require re-authentication. Let me see. Okay, present the user with an interface or blah, blah, blah. Send sign-in link to email. Sorry. Let's try that. Send sign-in link to email. Looks like we don't need this. No, that's different. That's sign-in link. That's not one. It's verification. Okay, they are inside a particular code base. This stuff that I wrote. I'll check them out later. Probably in the next Firebase lesson, we'll look at them as the extra part of authentication. We've already looked at this login and register. Let's not waste more time here. Let's instead, go to this place. So what I would like is for this data that is here currently to be sent to Firebase so that we would stop using the data that is currently stored in the app and instead be fetching from Firebase. And we can even try something like editing what's on Firebase and watching it affect here. Okay. Unfortunately, we spent so long on this that we may not have time to check out the other apps. Okay, so those were in constants in scale. Now this is how this looks. Graph data list. There's Monday. Monday has this number of views. Blah 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 blah. Anyhow, it's just an array of these. So we're going to push them into let me see what we have here. Okay, collection users. So we're going to push them into another collection called, let me call it graph data. Okay. So now we need IDs for them. They are not readily available, so we're just going to use the indexes. 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. Those will be what that's what we use. Okay, so I want this to run. Let me see when a particular button is pushed. Or what button would I use now? This already does something. This does something. Okay, let me see this profile views. If I click on this profile views, then that thing should run. It should send it to Firebase. Okay, so that page is dashboard. So let's look at the page first. Okay, a bunch of things. I think this should be profile views graph. Yeah, profile views. So we're just going to add on click. Next thing, this thing will tell me that H4s don't have on click. Okay, so we have scales, constant scale. Okay, that was scale values, right? Yeah, that was scale values. So great. It's going to get some use. So I think we should write this in Firebase functions. The reason why I like to write all these functions in one place is that if you're using Firebase, you would have to be importing all these things. So it's cool to just have them in one place. So you import these things in one. It's not like it's bad to import them in plenty places, but I mean, it's similar code. Let's just keep it one side. You can also have these in your, let me say you're using some kind of global state manager like Redux or something. You could also have these functions there. All the same, still writing them in something like Firebase functions and importing them in your global state functions, no wrong there as well. It's just that over there, for some situations like this login, for example, if you had a global state manager, by the time you get user data, you may want to, what's the word now? use it right there. But even then, that still can be overturned by returning user data from here. So instead of this function to be returning Boolean, to be returning user data or Boolean, and you can work with that. I mean, user data or false, rather. So, no wahala, sure. Let's just call it upload graph data, and it's going to take in an array that would be, who cares about what it is? Let's say any. So as usual, if you are trying to access, this time around now we're trying to access a collection and be dropping data in the collection. So const graph data collection ref will be equal to, here we use doc because it was a document, now it's a collection. So right, I didn't try to import. Nice. Just keep showing me light. Collection from Firestore. Okay, so collection takes in DB, Firestore, and the path. Oh, is this, actually we don't need this collection. No, we don't need this collection really. Sad, I was hoping we could explore, but we don't need this collection here. All we need is to loop over this array. So for let's item of, no, we need the index. So let's use a normal for loop. Let's I 0 I less than array.len I plus plus. So graph data doc ref will be equal to doc as usual, and we pass in DB and the path. So the path is going to be dev data, main, and what did you say we'll call it? Graph data. And the ID will just be I. So the ID will be, okay, I is a number, not a string. Okay. So that's that. Now, we explored getDoc here. We are going to setDoc. Okay. There are two ways to add a document, really. There is one, you get the collection ref, and then you use add_doc in that collection. It's a little troublesome because it sets the ID of that document by itself. Like it sets it automatically. And then there is setDoc. in setdoc, you will try to access the document as if it already exists. Even if it does, it may, no problem. Or whether even if it doesn't, just like we're doing now. Currently, this does not exist. There is nothing like graph data currently. There is no i.toString. There's no 0 or 1, whatever. So you try to access that and then set. When you use setdoc, you are kind of replacing everything that was there. You're saying at this point in the database, put whatever it is I'm putting right now. If there was something, change it to this. If there was nothing, put this. That's setdoc. So await setdoc the ref, graph data doc ref, and item. Sorry, array square bracket I. Oh, sorry, this was not asynchronous. Yeah. So does this make sense? Alternatively, rather than this, we could. So I guess I'll try it twice. This is commented out. I will try it with the other one, with add doc. So I guess we need the collection after all. It's collection ref is equal to collection. Generally, I like to use setdoc because it gives me control over the ID. I guess that's why I run it from adddoc, because I'm used to setting the ID myself. Collection, we have DB, and then the path is dev data main and the graph data. Maybe we should call this graph data too. So that's collection. Odd number of segments. So now we have a for loop. This time it can be for off. So let item of array await add doc the collection reference, graph data collection ref, and item. So once again, we're doing some async await kind of thing. So let's use a try and catch. Okay, so this is fine. So we're going to push this first, click on that, and have it run. And then we'll reset this. We'll comment this out, uncomment this, and click on it again. So that was over here. No, it wasn't. It was here. So by importing function So in these pages, when we created asynchronous functions, it went like this: const, the function name is equal to async, and then the brackets, the arrow, and the block. But for these function declarations, how do you make it asynchronous? Anybody?
Or you put async before the function.
Async before the function. All right, just like that. So res is equal to await upload graph data. So upload graph data is looking for an array, so we're going to give it scale values. Now we had this weird issue where really it's just this. Okay, so this is just what I want. At the end of the day, when this finishes running, you should log this: upload worked, true or false. Okay, and this is over here. So let's go see that. Right, it failed. Type does not match the expected instance. Upload works false. Let's see what's happening in here. Okay, so the graph data, what's it called? It didn't work. So let me see what type in here could have caused that. Scale. So in every object there is day, there is views. Views is an array of objects. I don't see any reason for it to be crying. I don't see any such reason. And we have this dev data main graph data 2. Or is it this 2? I've never used numbers in a collection name, but I don't think that should be an issue. because their random IDs have numbers in them. Add a new document, assigning the document ID automatically. I don't really see what's causing any issue here. So if this fails again, then I'll switch it up and try this instead. It's not even wasting time, so. Alright then, let's try this one. But that's really surprising. We add some logs. Graph data docref. Okay. And ID is i.toString. And what the setdoc returns? It returns nothing. So just to be safe, let me refresh. So I think after we get this working, unfortunately we'll end for today. It's past 8, so we don't stay too long. But just keep in mind there is a lot more that we've not handled yet. Okay, so this run makes me wonder what exactly was wrong in here. I don't know, maybe I was missing something or something. I guess I don't use adddoc a lot really because of the reason I mentioned. I like to have control over the ID, so I tend to gravitate towards setdoc. Maybe I'm missing something in the usage of adddoc. But well, we can see that setdoc works. Sorry. So if we, if we refresh this, yeah, now there's graph data. And in graph data, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really? There's no Sunday. Anyway. Wow, this is troublesome. It only saved scale. Is that what I did for all of them? Oh my goodness, scale values. Ah, that's terrible. That's terrible. I put the wrong array. That is terrible. This is what I'm supposed to be putting. Graph data lists is what I'm supposed to be putting. But I put scale values. That's just terrible. I'm going to delete. Should I delete this? I feel like I shouldn't. I mean, let's see set doc in action. Remember I said set doc when I say takes this reference and sets the value for that doc to whatever it is you are putting. So I think this is a good chance to see this. We already have this stuff in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's use set doc and see if it's going to replace this. So graph data lists would be imported here. Okay, it's already here. Graph data list. My eyes were just not working. All right, profile views. Aha, now there's up to 6. That makes sense because there was Sunday. Okay, so this is 3. Do we see scale anywhere? No, we don't. So there's day, Thursday. We have the views array. And there are objects with category, color, value, like that. So anyway, if you try to add a new field yourself, you have access to all of this stuff. String, number, boolean, map. Map is actually object, right? So to go in this way of property, data type, value, you can add more properties like that. Array is just like this. This one is auto-incremented, so arrays just have values. So what's the data type? What's the actual value? Like that. Null. Yeah, null is there. Timestamp. This is usually for like dates. So it's a little, you have to use a special method to work with it because timestamps are not date objects in JavaScript. Okay, the reason for the timestamp is for you to get a kind of unified something. For example, in this part of the world we are in, if you have a particular, what's the word now? What's this thing? Time in milliseconds, right? When you do like date.now, that kind of stuff. If you have that and you store it, that's a number. If you try to read it here in Nigeria, you will get a different value from someone that is reading it, say, in New Zealand, for example. Something like that. But timestamps are the same no matter where it is you are reading it from. Like they point to the actual exact same time, something like that. So it's recommended that if you're using Firebase, you're trying to set some kind of dates, use timestamp. Okay. I've never used geopoint before. So, okay. But we see latitude and longitude. So if you know the right values, you write that, yada, yada. And reference. I also haven't used this before, but it seems straightforward. I mean, you're just storing a path to some other data somewhere. Okay, so that's that. So now that we have this, we need to remove that function because it's dangerous. Let me comment it down for now. Towing is here. Well, it's on this stuff is only in this place. Am I in the right place? Oh, okay. I was
You want to
expecting a
give
code
him
from.
money?
Oh, yeah, here. No, I was just like, this code should not be uncommented. But I remembered that I'm not going to push this anyway.
Okay, like you're not going to push it to my own code, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to
I'm
push
just
your
going to
code.
create a new repo for it. Is that
No,
what you're going to do?
I'm just going to delete this repo when I'm done.
So how do we now know?
How do we know what?
How do we get the code? You have to come back and rewatch the videos or what?
You want the code?
I don't want the code.
Okay, actually, I didn't really think about that.
Well,
Because
anyways,
all these are
So the
borrowed
norms,
repos.
it's an awesome class. And if anyone wants the code, they can just rewatch the video there.
I hope so. I hope so. Anyway, so the next thing we're going to try to do now is, this will be the last thing. We'll just fetch that data and use it to like display over here. So here, use effect. We're setting graph data. We're setting graph data with graph data lists. So this is fine. The stage is already set up for this. All right. So we just need to graph data. All right. Where is graph data? Okay, graph data is from over there. Then what is this graph data? Okay, we're setting graph data to this. Okay, that's fine. So that means instead we'd have this fetch graph data. Okay. I think we should have a function here for getting graph data. So export const get graph data. Hmm. You know what? There are two ways of getting of getting stuff from collections. Um, I would rather just focus on the second way because that second way is more of real time. Okay, and with that second way, I don't think just a return will cut it. Usually, what I do is I store it in global state. So skipping all that, I'm just going to do it straight here, no matter the whatever that would happen, the imports that would happen here, no problem. So it's actually not an async something with this way. So the reference to the collection graph data collection ref is collection. Yeah, it's not even showing. Then let me take these. Upload graph data. Okay, I remove that. So I don't need these two. Let me go. Set the It's not needed. Doc. I remember for that one. Yeah, in case you're not aware, Windows key plus V opens a clipboard on Windows laptops. So it's handy. It stores about 20 items, 20 copies or cuts. Stores them. So I'm really forgetting how that thing goes. But let me see. I have to spy somewhere now. Okay, so this is how it goes. Yeah, you get the collection, you use that to create a query, and then you have this on snapshot, and then query the snapshot, or rather, run a for each on that snapshot and do something. All right, so we have this, and then const q is equal to query. Yes, options are there. So the query takes in, well, the collection ref, and then some query constraints. Query constraints are things like order by, limits, where, you know, those kinds of things, where you try to organize data in a certain way, like based on a certain parameter. So let me say order by date created in ascending or descending order, or order by name, those kind of things. But I don't want any ordering, just drop it as like that. Yeah. Am I missing something? Yeah, I don't have any constraints. Wait, where was this query gotten from? From Firestore. This one is from database. No wonder. This thing just doesn't like me. They're giving me wrong options. Aha. So we've got this query, and then const on subscribe, because what we're doing right now is a subscription, right? Subscription is kind of like, what's that thing called? RxJS. There's this thing called subscribe. You subscribe to observables. Yeah, you subscribe to observables. If the observable changes, it triggers, it's like two two things watching each other, or rather, this, let's say this function now, watching whatever it is it's subscribed to. And if that thing that is subscribed to changes, the function, takes note and does what it needs to do, something like that. So the data would always be up to date, basically. So that's really kind of like why we use unsubscribe. I wrote this wrong. That's actually right. I don't know, no matter how many times I write this thing, it doesn't seem to understand in my head yet. Yeah, on snapshots, then the query, and then a callback function. Of course. Oh, that's true. There was a second. So at the end of the day, usually it's customary to return that unsubscribe. Right? So if for some reason you want to stop subscribing to this collection, yeah, then you call this. On snapshots should also come here. Const original graph data, right? Okay, and it has this type. So query snapshots that for each document in that collection, I want to do something, right? Data. So you remember when we looked at documents, this is like just the exact same thing we're seeing. So this time around, we want data. Okay. Actually, what I do normally in the past is that I've been I've been writing out the whole thing. So instead of me asserting, what this is an assertion. TypeScript is pretty strict about types. We're saying data is graph data, right? And graph data has a bunch of things that are supposed to be inside it. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to be date, there's supposed to be views. Date is supposed to be a string, view is supposed to be an array of these objects. This is also a type on its own, that kind of thing. Yeah. But doc.data, if it had a type, it would be unknown, because you never can tell what is going to be inside it. Okay. So what I used to do was to say data is graph data, and then it's equal to an object, and I put all those things I'm expecting, you understand? But I don't know, it just kind of hit me now that I could just accept that this thing is graph data, accept it like that kind of thing. So yeah, data is this, and then we just want to push data into graph data. So graph data dot push. Maybe I shouldn't use graph data because there's already graph data. I know it's not going to cause any this thing, but yeah. Dot push data. Okay. So after this for each, graph data fetched should be everything. So we just set graph data to graph data fetched. And life is easy. So we're not going to use this anymore. So that means at the beginning, this guy, graph data is going to be empty. We'll probably not see anything on that. What's that thing called? On that graph until this guy kicks in. But we're going to see the joys of that later. All right, we're getting this exact same thing we used to get. So this is where things will get crazy a little bit. So let me duplicate this and take this to a new window. And then we're going to keep this one corner, keep this guy the other corner. I'll remove this. That's too bad. I wish it could be wider. Maybe wider. Come on. Like this. So I'm going to try manipulating some of these values, and we should see this change, instantly, just following it like that. Okay, the size is still big. Sorry, I have to reduce this size for a bit. Man, it's really small. Okay. So Thursday is already kind of big. Maybe I should make it small, right? Anyway, so we see the colors, right? This one is recruiters. This is users. And this is incognito. So incognito is 5, right? Cancel. Now it's saying incognito is, okay, incognito is the orange one. Okay, it's the 5 I want, recruiters. So somebody give me a number that will show, you understand, that will make an impact. Number,
like 30?
Someone. Like 30. You just had to go over the roof.
You said something that will make an impact now. No impact.
No impact. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. So let's go add something. Manage graph data. Graph data. Is manage graph data a function? Oh, it is a function. Let's go over this one. Sorry, I want to make this thing a const because I want to use effects on it. Sorry, use callback. If you like, don't work. Okay, so we're missing some dependencies, and that is graph data. I wonder why this one is crying really, like it's just trying to be annoying. Okay. Which means they're really, are we returning anything? There's certain days in here. I don't think there's a need for this use effect as we've used callback. Because it means if graph data changes, that thing is going to call itself again. It's going to try to generate a new thing. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a log here. Oh, right. Silly me. Yeah, this was necessary. This, at least for the first time, let it be called. This don't mind me. Not quite sure why this is not showing anymore. I'm doing weird things. I don't commented the wrong one. Okay, now this should be manage graph data actually. Slowly look for graph data again. Wait. This thing is still seeing the old stuff. Isn't that right? Still seeing the old stuff. Why? Something crazy is going on here. Oh, this guy was never called. So how is that value entering there anyway? Nothing else is setting graph data. I'm coming now. Nothing is setting graph data. How is it getting graph data? That's crazy. Anyway. This is called fetch graph data. Crazy things are really happening. Let me see the fetched data. For Thursday, we do have 30 over here. This data is being set somewhere else.
Did you change it from like the graph now where it's getting the data? Did you change it?
I believe it's getting data from, this is what it's using, graph data. Let me be sure. Bar graph. Oh, it's not using that.
It's not using zero.
It's using these bar groups, scale values, days, and all of these are happening here in manage graph data. That makes sense. So manage graph data is taking in this. So where is graph data coming from? Set days. So graph data.map. Okay, I think this thing needs to take in graph data. Exclude it. You know what? Wait. Graph data lists. Okay, that was the original array. So this can become graph data. And where was this guy called? It was called with graph data. Okay, no wonder. It's called with graph data true, but it's always getting its values from data list. That's old array. Graph data lists. Okay. So we have graph data everywhere and no graph data lists. All right. infinity. So we're good. We're finally there. Notice how this one used to be 25 before, right? Now it's the scale steps have changed. Okay, so let's go change something else. So I need to refresh. So what day are we changing? Goodness, what day are we changing? Goodness. Goody goody. No response.
Change to Sunday.
Sunday. Sunday
Yeah.
is very small.
I
So
will
again,
see the change.
do we go with recruiters or incognito or users?
Or the users.
Okay, users, what number?
Okay. 25.
25.
Yes.
Okay, that was quite fast. Yeah, so that's the beauty of that subscribe thing. Once anything changes over here, it reflects over here. Yeah. So it's been almost 3 hours. We shall we shall stop here for today. I hope it was fun.
It was. Thank you, Eddie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, boss.
Yeah. Okay, 2. So, Toyin, don't you like this function? See how the thing is reacting.
Well, I'm indifferent about it.
Yeah, it's different. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you very much
So
for.
it generates a scale value based on the
On the
longest
highest.
bar graph, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if the highest one gets to, there was a certain point, was it 85%? It's in scale. It's somewhere in scale. This is where the function is happening. Sending something. Max value, blah, 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 blah. Okay, additional 1 for additional space at the top. Yeah. So none of these bars should pass this line.
Okay.
Yeah, once anyone seems to get close to here, it would increase this instead.
Wow.
Let me see, this 32. So let me set something to 33 and see what happens. Okay, it's not really here. Anyhow, okay, this is just max scale value. Then how does it get this? Let's keep pushing the bar and see anyway. This was 33, so 34. Made it 35. Still safe. Okay. 36. At 36, it changed. 36 is 90% of 40. So does that mean it's 90%? At 90% it changes.
Maybe.
Anyway, I think we're done here. So all we looked at was just login, register. Sorry, a lot of time was lost at the beginning due to the node modules thing, and we didn't even have time to use Google login. Okay, and then we looked at storing data on Firebase. Creating the document reference and setting doc. So if you have an array you want to set, you can look through the array, set doc. You have control over what ID you are setting, because a lot of times you may want to like store that ID as well somewhere else. So in a situation where like you're creating something, see this function over here, we're just using the index in the array to store it. But in a case where you want to have that index inside, you want to have that ID inside the object itself, like user data, for example. Here, this user object, we're lucky, we already have user ID created somewhere else. But in a situation where you want to set doc, use your own custom ID but still have it in the object, then you can use some random stuff. Maybe what's that thing? UUID. Have you guys used UUID before?
Yeah. I want to ask that question before, sir. Yeah, I can.
Yeah. You can use UUID, get a random ID, put it here. But it's just that if you're using UUID for that, you will not call UUID here and call it here, because you get two different things. So you just call it somewhere, assign it to a variable, and then put that variable here, put that variable here, and you're good to go. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to cover as much as I hoped. Or at least, I do hope this one is something, sure. So
It
thank you all.
actually is something.